college football playoff rankings were front and center yesterday, and the Jackets move up a spot. They move up to number 16. You say that's good.
That's awesome.
It's actually not good because they were jumped by somebody who has more losses than them as Miami moves up to number 15 above Georgia Tech. Now, I know Georgia Tech fans are going to be upset about this. I'll tell you in 1 second why you should not. What? Go ahead.
No, I'm asking. I mean, we got all bent out of shape when certain teams were in front of other teams, and we had like our thought process as to why that took place. Mm-hmm. So why in God's green earth did they move Miami in front of Georgia Tech when they have one more loss?
Well,
and
here's
in conference, right?
Mack Rhoades, the college football commissioner, who tells you here's why.
Georgia Tech was idle. You know, obviously their last game, they certainly didn't play well on either side of the ball when you think about their loss to North Carolina State. Georgia Tech, again, we look at all of the metrics. Their schedule strength, you know, is hard for them when you think about just any non-conference signature wins. Miami, certainly with the win versus Notre Dame, was a key factor for Miami ahead of Georgia Tech.
Funny they mentioned that win now, but that's neither here nor there. It's an injustice. Georgia Tech should not be ranked below 2-loss Miami. Georgia Tech also shouldn't be ranked below 2-loss Vanderbilt and 2-loss Utah. I don't think Texas should be as high as they're at. But for Georgia Tech, here's why, as a fan base, you should calm down. You're not getting an at-large bid, barring winning out. And even then, if you lose the ACC title game, it's going to be iffy if you get an at-large bid. Your lot in life to make the playoffs is simple. Beat Boston College, beat Pittsburgh, win the ACC championship game. Rankings be damned. And I know where a lot of people get confused, they looked at the graphic that they put up last night. Here's what the 12 team would look like. And Miami was sitting as the 11 seed and Georgia Tech was out. Mm-hmm. Miami will not be the 11 seed. Because the 11 seed's probably going to go to the ACC conference champion, which Miami only has about a 6% chance to make the conference championship game. Tech has like a 55% chance to make the conference championship game. The 12 seed will be the group of 5. You're not getting it as an at-large, but for Georgia Tech, doesn't matter. You could be 16, 18, 22 right now. Win your next 2 games. You have a de facto playoff game in Charlotte in the ACC championship game with a chance to move on.
My head's going to explode. But take care of business in their next 2 conference games.
That's it.
Damn, Georgia, whatever. Fight hard, pull out a win, lose close, whatever. You're going to ACC for a playoff game.
Right.
You win that game.
You're in. You're going to be seated somewhere, probably 11th.
Will they be the only ACC team in?
There's a chance. Now, for Miami, what happens with them, how they could be potentially an at-large bid, they have to get to number 10. So 10 is the line of demarcation to be an at-large team. Because, again, I think 11 is going to be the ACC champion, and 12 will be your group of 5 highest-ranked team. Miami would have to jump 5 more teams. Now, Texas and Oklahoma have really tough games this week against Alabama and Georgia. And then what do you do with BYU, Utah, and Vanderbilt? Vandy's only tough game left really is going to be against Tennessee. So there's a chance the Commodores could climb into number 10. For Utah, they don't have the toughest schedule left either. I think they have TCU left on their schedule. But again, they don't play a whole lot of nothing. So Utah could potentially sit there.
Baylor, Kansas State, Kansas.
Yeah. So again, they're favorites in every one of them. And then BYU does play TCU and somebody else. Cincinnati was pretty good.
Is that right? Cincinnati's 25th.
Yep.
Not to go back to your Georgia Tech thing, because if you're a logical fan, you can think exactly like you did about, hey, just handle your business and this is all going to work out. My bigger concern or argument would be, if I was a Jackets fan, is what we heard the committee say. Because once again, if I'm hearing committee members tell me that we were awful, we as in Jackets, awful on both sides of the ball against North Carolina, I have a huge problem with them not going back a second week now to have watched what Haynes King did in the offense against North Carolina State. So in other words, it lends me to believe, again, if I'm a Tech fan, that this committee doesn't much care about our university, and they've got their favorites. And right now in the ACC, they're pointing to Miami as their favorite.
Right. And again, you take care of your own business, who's your favorite or not. This is where I go back to brand recognition. Texas has no business being number 10. No business. Now, the problem is you have to put Texas above Oklahoma because they beat them head-to-head. Texas and Oklahoma probably should be down a couple of more spots. Mack Rhoades this college football playoff chair. He talks about body of work.
We look at certainly body of work. And so, you use Alabama, week one, their loss to Florida State. But then, you look at their stretch, winning 4 in a row, against top 20 teams, 2 of those on the road. And so, again, we look at body of work, our team's getting better as well throughout the season. Notre Dame is a team that comes to mind that, has won 7 straight, had the 2 tough losses initially by a total of 4 points. Defensively, probably struggled early on and now much better defensively. That's the way the committee, the way we look at the season, the body of work for a team.
I laugh at that because you're better defensively because you're playing bottom of the barrel teams. The 2 teams they played against that were good at the beginning of the year, they struggled defensively. So body of work to me is a very subjective argument.
What do you do with the efficiency rankings? Do you look at those at all? It's got the rankings, and then it's based off of scoring margin per play basis, but it's adjusted for the strength of the opposing offense or defense you face.
Okay.
Like Texas is 54th offensively, which is obviously not where you want to be to try to win a title, but they're 8th defensively and 2nd in special teams. Miami's got a problem on special teams, apparently. They got them ranked 81st in special teams efficiency.
Sorry,
but the other,
I
know. Offense is 29th, defense is 12th, right where you need to be if you want to be in the mix. But I don't even know what it means and what those things are. If they're looking at these numbers as well,
right?
Who the rip knows? Georgia Tech 76th defensively.
Oh, right. That's not a good metric.
That's not one game.
And that goes back to what they were talking about against NC State. Kelly, to your point, though, I'm upset that they were lumping the offense in with the defense. The offense wasn't a problem. You know what the problem was? You kicked 2 field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. That was a problem. Haynes King had a Heisman performance. Listen to me. If he was on any other team, that is a Heisman performance. Yep. Fernando Mendoza had a Heisman moment. Haynes King had a Heisman performance.
408 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushing 103 yards for 2 more touchdowns.
Goodness.
Sorry
the problem is you lost. And that's unfortunately how the Heisman looks at it and how the committee looks at it as well. Cole Kublik, he talks about relatability being maybe the most important brand for coaches.
I think relatability is the most important part of being a college coach these days. You have to relate to the NIL people, the collective. You have to relate to administration, to boosters, to players in the portal. And you better relate to the players that are already on your team or else they're leaving. There's a lot more jobs out there now, too, so your staff's going to leave if you don't relate to them. It's just the most important aspect. Fans, media, all of it. When you start peeling back the layers, like, what is brand that important anymore? Indiana's going to be in the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. Signetti's had 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons. They didn't have a damn one of them before he got there, ever. So we can sit here and say brand name or that you got to have all this history and this lure around your program. That just might not be real.
I think there's part of it that still is real when it comes to the committee and the brand recognition of maybe who they put in front of whomever. And I don't think, unfortunately for Georgia Tech, to go back to them, the brand recognition today, granted, they're having a great year, is not as high as some of the other teams that sit in front of them.